Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette. This is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath. It's so good to share energy with you. Come on in, and thank you for inviting me in. Let us begin. We are going to examine negging. When you have things happen in your life, we often hear people talk about transmuting the energy. I had someone who was an incredible teacher for me teach me from the inside out what negging, projecting, gaslighting, and diabolical liars are all about. And in order to survive the test, my angel said, I hope you were taking notes because we're going to want you to share with the collective what was shown to you. And so in this video today, that's what we're going to do. If you're interested, pop a squat, grab a snack, get your favorite beverage, and sit back. We're going to talk about the why, where's, when's, and how's, and also what you might see. But like y'all know, if you've been here before, everything begins with a story. Picture it. Sicily, 1932. No, but picture it. A New York borough, somewhere in Brooklyn. We're at a pizza shop. Me and I don't know what to call her. Was she a girlfriend? She was, to a certain degree. She was a friend girl. She was a girlfriend. It was someone that I was seeing. Yes. It was her mother's birthday. And it was time to celebrate. This is important to the story. This was their favorite restaurant. She said, or one of theirs. I imagine. I think a restaurant that her mother enjoyed, or we wouldn't have gone there. Earlier in the day, she and I had winded our way to Williamsburg to pick up a cake. My favorite bakery in the country is Milk Bar. And I have been having their cake shipped to me for many, many, many years. And so I was there. Like anybody that's dating someone, you want to make a great impression on their mom. So I'm like, only the best of the best will do. So we head out, and we go to the brick and mortar store, which was so cool for me because I'd only ever shipped. Christina Tosi is the baker that is the proprietor of that shop, and I have been following her career for many, many years. For those of you that are new here, I am formerly a classically trained chef, and I used to have my own catering company, so I know someone who's passionate about their food, and I pay attention, and I am a foodie. I love food, and I love people that curate food beautifully. And the person that I was seeing was a foodie too. She was a chef as well, she had chefed. Yeah. So the point is, we had wonderful times on food related dates, and she was a skinny legend, so she got to enjoy it in her own way. But it was safe to say that we enjoyed a good moment. And I said, this is something I want to do for your mom. And so I want to make sure we get her a great cake, the best cake. Only the best will do. That's a big Leo energy. You know how we do. So so we grab the cake and we bring it to the restaurant. And it was a little bit fussy as we were entering busy night for them. Now, here's something that I can't do, guys. I can't turn off my intuition. So I'm reading all of the interpersonal things that are happening in the background. I'm figuring out what shift manager is fighting with what jealousy is happening. I'm not meaning to. I just can't help it. Sometimes I have to be like telling the angels to turn it down. So her mother is there, and she is there, and I think she had them hold the cake in front, and then it's time, and we decorated the table and all of that, and then it was time to have the cake and whatever, she gets it. So as it's happening, there's a man that walks by, and he notices the cake because anybody in New York knows this cake, and if you are a person that likes quality, you know this cake. Now, it's not something that was on the person that I was seeing's radar whatsoever. She actually thought it was an extravagance. Really, it's not something I think she or her mother would have done, and they're often, watching their sugar and stuff too, so no hate about that. But it was a birthday. I was like, it's a birthday. Everybody deserves cake on their birthday, right? So the guy walks by. Now, there was a lot of staff milling about, but see, I pay attention to energy, not just for clout. And so I recognized his energy signature right away. My angels were talking to me about him. And before he made it to the table, I knew he was going to stop. Now, this has to do with the Earth Angel Stimmy. We will pull in things to our radius because of our energy. And the reason I mention that is this is a place that they frequented often and they liked, or they gone at least a couple of times. She said that it's a place that her mother liked, and that's why it was chosen. We would assume that if you're going to go someplace on your birthday, that usually it's a favorite place, right? And so the guy stops by the table and he was like, "Oh, someone's got great taste." He said something to that effect regarding the cake, because the cake is also a conversational piece. Christina Tosi, she pioneered essentially the naked cake style. So the cake that are not iced around the sides, really well thickly iced in the middle with wonderful toppings sandwiched between. And so when you see the cake, it's a cake to be seen. You've seen that cake, and it's, people copy, but Christina Tosi was the pioneer for that kind of cake. And so it's something you just notice. You're not just thinking it's a regular cake. Plus, the milk has really great branding as well. So he maybe noticed the pink packaging, because we had some of the decorations. They had a little birthday package, and I made sure to get that and all the rest of it. So he said something about the cake. Now, the person that I was dating was quite dismissive of him, and it engaged something in him. What she did was she tripped a psychological failsafe. Now, what does that mean? Let's talk about it, guys. This man, I knew, was a man of power. She was probably not paying attention. Now, and I want to just, to be fair, I always want to be totally fair in any story I tell. New Yorkers have a culture. Now, I was born in New York, but I didn't grow up there. I did spend summers there, and I did visit often, but I did not grow up there. But I will tell you, New Yorkers have a culture, and it's quite brusque and kind of like busy. There's always a scam. There's always someone homeless trying to yell at you or do something. It's just what happens in New York. It's just part of the culture. So people keep it moving. I literally was watching Tracks NYC, he's trying to give out gold bars, literal gold in his hand he's trying to give out. And people are like blowing him off, brushing him off, stiff arming him, because they're like, what is the spin? What are you trying to do? How are you trying to get me? I don't have time. In New York, people don't have time. So I will, for the sake of the story and for absolute fairness, tell you that I imagine that was part of her persona for sure. And maybe why she was so dismissive of him, because she wasn't seeing him the way I saw him. But he stops and tries to make conversation, as any person would do. But he happened to be the owner of the place, right? So he was a really great owner, because good owners will mingle in with their neighborhood and know everybody in the neighborhood. Oh, that's so-and-so, and oh, that's their grandma, and they've been coming here for 20 years or 10 years, right? Now imagine this is a place that they frequent. But this is not someone that they were familiar with. So maybe it would stand to reason that this was not an encounter that they had yet. For whatever reason, that man had not come to their table. Now, as an Earth Angel, I knew the reason he was at the table. It was more than the cake. It was energy. I understood it. But the cake was definitely a draw to us as well. But she's really dismissive. And I'm watching her. I'm kind of like cringing. I'm a little embarrassed, because I'm like, this is not the guy to do that to. And he was perplexed, because people probably treat him like a king, but she was really dismissive of him. And so he started to be overgiving. He was really, really trying to engage her, and he was getting offended because she was rude. It was a rude way that she dealt with him, but it's a New Yorker. So I was like, well, you live here, sir, so you know how y'all do each other. So why are you taking offense? But what my angels were doing was teaching me a master class on this negging, because they said you will teach it to many thousands of people, maybe even hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions someday, regarding the way that this person played specifically. They said, when you go through things that are siphoning your energy or causing you to be depleted to any capacity, it's not just for shits and giggles. It's so that you can teach it, or that you can develop pattern recognition. And what I had not had in my life. Though I'd had people bully me and do weird things, and you name it. I've had the run of the mill of some of the most dastardly, terrible behavior that you can imagine. But this specific species, brand, and entity I had not encountered. The level that she was at, I had not encountered these Jedi mind tricks. And I was having a tough time because I had no pattern recognition for it. So what the angels began to do was to bring men in front of me so that I could observe her behavior, so I could understand exactly what my reality was with her. In our dynamic, I would have been in the masculine energy, but yet she was dismissive and stiff-arming me too, devoid of respect, seeming nonplussed and not really impressed, when I knew factually that what I was offering was simply the best. It's not even up for debate. Some of the experiences and the way that I treat her, some of the offerings that I did during the time that we were together, were things that no man had ever done, no man would ever do. And so, and not just like, oh, I think so. For the rest of her life, and she'll have a very long one, I have it on good authority, these are not ways that she'll be treated readily. Doesn't mean it won't happen at some point with somebody that she locks in with, who she shows up honestly with. That is her litmus test. But it is to say that with me, all I wanted to do was bless, and all she offered me was stress. And so my angels are like, she's rope-a-doping you, twin. Twin. She's rope-a-doping you with this bullshit. And you're great at reading people, and you're great at working through their glamour magic. That would be the description for what I was dealing with. But you need to see what she does in order to dismantle it. So this guy that is a man of power, and what I also got, just because the reader in me doesn't miss a beat, he had some connections, mafioso connections, actually. Also, he was very invested into real estate. We didn't have a conversation about this. This is just what I read. It's just like he was a client coming to me. I don't have to flip a card to read your guys' energy and to get to the meat of the matter. So in that case, and this is just a quick aside too, this is why you don't want to date people like this, specifically because instead of me doing the work that I was called to do, I can turn this into work and I can transmute it. But when you are dating someone who is adversarial with you and who is behaving like the opposition, and you have to be on alarm, you can't just be your sweet empath self, your sweet earth angel self. It's a huge energy suck, because why do I have to read your energy, literally pull words out of your throat? It's exhausting. It's an exhausting way to exist. And I don't even know how people date in the Matrix. I was like, oh, this is not for me. I don't belong here. We are of a different vibration and ilk completely. Different stratospheres, different levels completely. And not in any mean way, it just was factual. But in that moment, I watched her play. Now, she may not have even been conscientious, because this is her way. It is her comfort zone, let's say. And so, but he immediately was hooked in. And my angels were also kind of being like, give yourself a break, because you've been really hard on yourself, because I pride myself on being good in relationships and being able to meet someone's needs or understand where they may have a deficit or whatever the case is. And everything was just so difficult with her, and it was perplexing. Well, sometimes people want things to be difficult. But that guy walks by this day, this boss, this mafioso boss, to a degree. I don't think he was a boss. I felt like he worked with a family, but he had some higher ranking. And that's why he was psychologically tripped out by her dismissal, because everyone had great big smiles when he walked by their table, because I imagine he'd made his rounds before. Everyone knew who he was. And I was surprised that if this is a restaurant in your neighborhood, in your borough, did you not realize who he was? It made me also think this. I wonder how many opportunities in her life she missed because she didn't read the room and she was rude and dismissed someone that may have been of great service to her, or even just convivial to her. But in that moment, he continues to talk, and I am literally putting myself energetically between them, because I feel his anger and his frustration, one that was all too familiar to me, that I would have with her too, repeatedly. And he was frustrated because he was like, bitch, you know who I am in reality? And so then he made it known, because men and their ego, right? So he's like, well, I'm the owner, whatever. How do you think I found out? What do I know? I was a visitor, right? So he's like, I'm the owner, and yeah, Milk Bar has great cakes, and he's like pushing now because he wants her to validate him, because it tripped a psychological failsafe, which is that she was withholding just basic kindness. It wasn't even that he needed anything from her. We were patronizing his restaurant, but she was withholding basic human kindness and reciprocity, which ironically was something she was doing with me. But because I'm like, I'm great at relationships and I'm communicating and I know I'm a great girlfriend and I know how I show up, and what I tell y'all, we're great fucks with better lovers, right? So I know what kind of person I am in a relationship. And girl, throat chakra hit. Haven't had one of those in a long time. They took that thyroid out. And things have been going good, but in any case, I know what kind of person. She had terrible communication, probably the worst I've ever dealt with, and so I was observing it, and my angel said, "This is how she." I heard one trick pony in the moment. Literally, I was sitting at the table. I heard one trick pony. This is what she does to a lot of people. Is she kind of drives them crazy. She thinks, and I would hear her tell the story, like, people just get so mad because my poom poom drives them crazy. Like, she was really into her sexual energy, and people did see her immediately for sexual energy, even if she was in celibacy or when she was in celibacy. That I watched her. I travel with her all over the world, and I watch men's reactions to her, and then I'm hearing inside of their head things that I never said to her because it wasn't necessary, and I would watch how she reveled in that certain power that she did have. God bless her. I think it's important for you to know your feminine power and use it wisely. Yes, if you can. So people were attracted to her. Yes, they were. And when she's with an earth angel, you're going to get more attraction, more pull, more people stopping us, more people interested, all of the rest of that. So that happened wherever we were. In every country we're in, there was a moment where people were quite fascinated. And also, she had her own magic separate of me. I remember a really cute story where someone in the bathroom was like, I just saw a real mermaid. She was very colorful and fun. All the reasons that I was attracted to her. I thought this was a really well-suited match, guys. So I always want to be fair about that, because she was quirky and unique, and I thought interesting in ways. Well, she was a nightmare for days and days. Yeah, she was that on the outside. You could see her today and you'd probably be delighted as well. She was quite whimsical. She embodied fairy energy, but she was really behaving like fae. Everything, every entity, every spiritual denomination has some level of duality, including you and me, okay? So it's important to know that. So yes, she was fairy, but I was getting fae, right? That's the more tricky, evil, mean, whatever, like just for the shits and giggles of it, right? So I never want to be like, the only reason she ever had any compliments was because of me and I was the only magic. That's not true. She will get compliments for the rest of her life. God bless her. However, I know how I magnify the radius of it, and you better know that about you. This is one thing before I die, y'all better get that through your heads, is that when you are there, you are an accelerant. So that's even why he was at the table, because I was like, well, if you've been here before and he's never stopped at your table, why do you think that happened? It's not just the cakes, sis. How many cakes do you think he sees in a day? Anyway, so the energy was energying, and he kept, engaging and whatever. Anyway, we end up enjoying our meal. Now, when it's time to go, because he's still in his feels, this is 1 minute, 1 man, 1 day that I got to observe the negging energy, but we're going to talk about it in a deeper way here. She had tripped his psychological failsafe, which is what negging does. Negging is when people withhold and or they demoralize you or they undermine you through their words. And so they'll say something. They'll ask you a question like, "Do you really think that looks right?" Like, she was always nitpicking me. There was always something wrong with me, and I was like, "Do you want me to be mean here or not?" Regarding if we're really talking about comparisons regarding our fashions and whatever. I just wasn't like that. I'm always complimentary. I thought she was great. I was like, oh, this is awesome, or I love this, or I would buy her things to make it more magic, or whatever the case may be. No, 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 no. Girl, this is what you need to understand about people that don't like themselves. They will share that with you. If you squeeze an orange, you're going to get oranges. Well, if you squeeze a hater, you're going to get hateration. And being in her world and under her thrall showed me how much misery that she existed in, y'all. she existed in a lot of misery. But in that moment, this man that is of power, that has a lot of respect, that everyone turns their neck when he walks by the table, was dismissed by someone, and he's immediately in his fifis. So when we are out walking out, he was like, I'm going to take a picture of you guys. I don't think that's a service he offers. If I was Diabolical, I don't even know if I have the picture. I think I got rid of so much stuff with her, but there was a picture. He literally walked outside and took a picture of like a birthday picture of us. Why do you think he went above and beyond? It was because she had activated something in him that he couldn't put his finger on, and he didn't understand because people treat him well, and the restaurant's, good, and actually, you know what's so funny, guys? Just a quick aside. Ironically, the food was terrible to me. Out of all the places that we ate, it was the one time that I really just didn't enjoy my food. I think I had like a gluten-free pizza, and it just wasn't very good. And so I was like, the quiet irony of this all. But he literally walked outside to take a picture of us because that was her trick. If she would treat you so terribly, and all you're doing is being as kind as you can be, and she's rejecting you. And every human is subject, unless you understand the pattern of that, to want to push back or to want to keep giving, to elicit out of a person what you feel like you're owed or what you deserve, or basic human decency. So my angel showed that to me. They also showed it with other men in other ways, more poignantly. And I was able to have pattern recognition then, and then set myself free. But I have never been more negged, more disrespected, more undermined, more talked about in the group chat than when I was with she. It was a whirlwind of negative self-talk, absolute loathing, and fuckery, The irony is that she was very dismissive of me. The same way she dismissed him, she was stiff-arming me and really being mean about these incredible experiences that were happening and the quiet potential of the timeline that we were in. She was dismissing completely. She was allowing a lot of people to, get in her head and all the rest of it. But that's not what this is about. I can't put on her mama that didn't like me. The quiet irony of that. I knew her mom didn't like me. I still bought the cake because, you put on a good face, right? You can't help it. I didn't realize how tethered she was to everybody's opinions and how she wasn't her own person. And that's so unattractive. And a lot of things were cleared for me. But she was a necessary person in my life. Sometimes we go through things where we're like, why did that happen to me? And why did you allow that to happen, God? Well, I had a blind spot. I had people be just outright bullies and mean to me. I never had insidious undermining. Like, we would be out. One of the times that she was playing right in my face and being weirdly inappropriate and wildly disrespectful and triangulating me, which was her other favorite thing to do. People that do that will use all of the narcissistic tactics. It's tough if I want to say that she was a narcissist. I think she was incredibly selfish. I wouldn't have been attracted to her if she didn't have good bones. But she was really not a good person, and she was unkind, and she was sneaky, and she was a liar, and she was mean. That wasn't how she always was, and that's how people can get in between your energy, your mind, and your legs if they want to be. That was not necessarily something that I was expecting from the likes of she. She showed up beautifully. She showed up like a fairy. She was a fairy. Yup. And she was also scary. Yup. Because she didn't feel safe in her own mind, so she shared that with everybody else. But she would undermine your energy. She would undermine your kindness. And I watched her do it with that guy. And it was so cool to get to watch it happen. The angels gave me a lot of times where I would get to watch her behavior. I have another video that's uploading now, silent assessment. So you get to watch people without having to let them know everything you know. And I was all smiles at that lunch, but I remember, like, feeling his anger and feeling his ire. And the angel said, you have been actually handling her probably better than anyone ever has, because people just get mad at her and then they say horrible things to her because they're fighting back, essentially, because they don't understand how she's gotten into a place that she shouldn't be, and they don't understand how come you're just not working with me or cooperating with me. It's because she didn't want to. And I, at one point, was like, is she smart or stupid? And they were like, she's really smart, actually. She's doing all this on purpose. She's very clear. She knows how to communicate. She's communicating with everybody in the group chat. She's not taking the communication over here because whatever the case may be. Maybe she was just genuinely not attracted to me, but far be it from her to really just say that. She was playing all these games with me, and that's where the karma comes. Guys, you're allowed to not be attracted to people. Do you know that? There have been a lot of people that I'm not attracted to. But what I do is I deal with it right away. That's it. And not everybody has that skill set. I was in her life specifically for that. And I had told her at one point in the very beginning, I'm here so that you don't lie. Like, you don't have to lie to me, really. Because even if you don't like something, I'm going to be okay with that. Even if you're like, let's end this right now, I'm going to be okay with that. But that was not how she operated to whatever degree. So in this case, I got to see the negging firsthand and how it played out and how it was affecting me. My angel's like, do you understand what's happening? You are taking her to these extravagant dinners that she doesn't deserve, and she's being really mean to you about it. There's a thing that happened there. People that are, this is a thing that men do, which was interesting. I found her to be very, very male identified, no matter what she said or things she was working through, because her behavior was actually, even though I was in the masculine energy, it was like those guys that are on those like weird dating channels that are like, treat women like shit, they don't deserve anything, da 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 da. That's how she was acting. Like, the things that were happening were insignificant, and I knew better in that way. But after I left her, I worked through it in therapy. And one of the things that the therapist said, I think that may be helpful for you, was that this is something that toxic people do, essentially. I mean, no big revelation, but she said specifically, all the things that were happening in y'all's connection were outside of the normal dating scope, in that these were big moments, big deals, really incredible things, and she was acting like it was insignificant. And she was like, do you realize the magnitude of the gaslighting? And I said, yeah, I realized it while I was in it. I didn't really dive deep until I was out of it with a therapist. So I was like, no, I had to navigate this by myself, since I was just me and my angels just navigating this. And she was like, listening to what I was telling her about it and all the rest of it, she was like, this is incredible. What you did was absolutely incredible. How you showed up for her was incredible. The way that you allowed her space and kindness was incredible. And juxtaposed against her experiences, you were so gracious. Like, if we traveled, if she wanted her own space or her own separate room or whatever, I was doing things that I know men wouldn't do. But yeah, she was using all of the negative tactics that were maybe foisted upon her to be unkind to me, a person that showed up in real earth angel energy. And the negging was what really tripped my psychological failsafe, because I've had the meanness, but I never had it insidiously. You know, I digress. But when we were in Iceland at one time, we had stopped and got breakfast somewhere, and she was really insistent that she wanted to go get a hot dog at the place where Bill Clinton had got a hot dog. And really, she had previously set up a date with a man. She had agreed to meet him. She was adamant about it, the way that she drove it home. We really need to go get this hot dog. I bet she did want a hot dog. And I'm not mad at her about it. I was like, sis, you ain't got a lot to kick it. If you would have just been real with me, this could have all gone different. I'm never a hater. Never that. So anyway, we walked down to the hot dog place after. But while we're there, right before, she's making fun of a headpiece that I had on that was handcrafted and so beautiful and matched my outfit. And people literally stopped us several times that day to take pictures of it. So I never fully was into like her negging being anything that I was supposed to take as serious or like insulting, but she was always trying to undermine me. People that are rife with insecurity will go out of their way to make you start to doubt yourself. Right now, a perfect example, I would equate her to this, Blueface, really. Right now, Blueface is out of jail, right? And I don't pay attention because he pops up, whatever. But he has a new girlfriend, and we're watching him psychologically break her down with negging. He's calling into question how she looks and this and that. It starts off light, you think it's nothing big, but then if you're not secure, it can break you down completely. And in the case of the guy at the restaurant, it was just a microcosm, a quick snapshot the angels offered to me. They said, you keep giving and doing more for this person because she is stiff-arming you and acting like she doesn't really care. And she may not really care, but really it's a tactic because the facts are the facts. If you are the best encounter regarding a dating experience, it will always just be that. And that's what people that are insecure will do, is they're like, I gotta bring you down to me because I certainly can't get up to you. Now, in the case of Blueface, he does it with everybody. He wants women to be subservient and to feel insecure and to be triangulated. He's triangulating everybody all the time as soon as he breathes. And I've never been more triangulated than in that dating situation. And even in that moment, where we were walking down to get the hot dog was to meet a person who she was on a date with. She just didn't mention it to me. We were on an international date, but she had someone else she wanted to see. And triangulating me and having this guy creepily show up at all of the places was also part of the undermining. Triangulation is something people will do when they're negging you because they need you to be off kilter. And she certainly threw me off kilter, as a good old negging will do. Because I'm thinking, stranger danger, why is this person here? You're a New Yorker. We had been on a date in New York where I wanted to take a jitney, and she was giving me so much pushback and scrutiny. If you could see the look on her face, it was a look her mother had given her many times. And she was like, this is not what, she didn't say it to me. I read it in her energy. This is not what we do. This is such tourist shit. Da-da-da-da. I'm not paying for it, which is fine. And I spoke out loud to her and I said, I'll pay for it. No problem, sweetie. I got it. Because I knew that it was a incredible moment of fun and it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But as I told you from the beginning, she doesn't read the room well and she doesn't realize when she's in the midst of magic. And so they even had a bubble machine. She carried around a bubble machine because she was a fairy. So I was like, this isn't meant to be. This is a moment, and it's happening. And it was incredible for me. They played Jay-Z, New York, and Frank Sinatra, which is my absolute favorite song, My Way. It was exactly what was supposed to happen that day. But she was acting like I had no situational awareness. I was some noob, like wild tourist. And then here we are in a foreign country, and you want me to believe that you're just comfortable with a stranger like this? That where's all this? And I was like, not situational awareness, sewer Barbie, 2022, absolutely not. Where's all this magical insight and street smarts? Well, it went out of the window. She was physically affectionate with him in front of me. She was draped across him, and he just happened to show up at every place we were in the city. How creepy would that be? You're traveling with someone internationally, and a man is shadowing you and being pretty aggressive. She's like, look who I found. And I was like, wow, how did he know we were coming to this site? How did he look what the contract in? What a piece of shit she was. This was diabolical behavior. And I knew it and I called it out. I didn't need a therapist to confirm it because I really didn't do the deep dive until I really cut myself free. I had to get myself in alignment first before I examined, because she really left me with some PTSD because she had tripped my psychological fail-safe. Not because it was a great endless love. It's because the back and forth that was holding the negative energy, the constant triangulation, the undermining, keeping me unsafe and off kilter. When Blueface is doing that, it's not just because he hates everyone, but I do think he hates women. And it's because he wants power and control. And that's the only way that he feels that he can get it. When people are negging you, they are seeking power and control over you. And she must have felt like she was just out of her depth with me because she wasn't expecting me to be what I was. So from the very first time we were physically together, it was a non-stop, insidious barrage of complaints, observation. You're saying this too much, you're doing that too much. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Are you insecure? Why are you wearing that? You look like a kindergarten teacher. She was a bitch. She would not think of herself that way, but she was a bitch. It was mean. And I imagine that if any man did that to her, she would be crumpled into a ball if she was constantly nitpicked the way that she did for me. And it did hurt my feelings. It did cause me to pause because I was like, what the fuck is happening here? But my angels like really freed me when I realized she does this to everybody. That's her only thing she can do, is treat people like shit, because maybe she was treated like shit too. But empaths and earth angels, what I'm going to tell you is, you cannot spend your entire life overstanding what people's psychological strife is so that they can be empowered to further abuse you. She was abusive. She was very abusive. In fact, you know, you just never know who you're going to run into, right? So I'm a complete easy person in her mind to dismiss. Like, who the fuck is this bitch? And this fat bitch, she was mean. Okay? She was mean, and there were so many ways that this could have gone differently. It didn't have to be how it was. Like I said, you don't have to be attracted to anybody. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But instead, she was like, I'm going to go along for the ride, and I'm going to say fuck you at every way that I can. And I'm going to do it with a moral imperative and a battery in my back. I'm going to triangulate you with my mother, who feels like your mere presence is an attack. And I am going to treat you terribly with a sprinkle of kindness. And I asked God, why am I on this hamster wheel? And they said, because she tripped your psychological failsafe. So I was able to essentially write a mental dissertation on negging and triangulation, because I was with someone who was the most insidious person I'd ever dealt with. I have had the twin flame drama. I've had karmic trauma. I've had all kinds of encounters. I have had a girlfriend who was physically abusive. I have been through there. Take me through there. But no one really took me through there mentally like she did. And I thought, wow, all this, because she's so proud of her sacral energy. Like, she was very like all about that. And ironically, that was not our agreement. Our agreement was for intimacy, but not necessarily sexuality. And so the quiet irony that a non-consummated relationship could leave me with PTSD was mind-blowing to me. She was so unpleasant in her behavior, but I got to see it's what she doles out to everybody. So then I was able to not take it so personally. When people are negging you, they want you to second guess themselves. Even me talking about her leads to confusion, because she was very confusing. They want you to second guess yourself. And one of my superpowers is my intuition. So that was the thing she was trying to scramble immediately. This bitch can't really be able to see me, because if she can, she's going to know that what I'm doing is greasy and grimy and diabolical. And it was all these Jedi, literally mind tricks. And the angel says she could have it. But they had to let me see how she would manipulate. Even that man that she was on the date with, I watched her do what she had done to me, which is be emotionally unavailable or withholding or whatever, so that he would keep giving and giving and giving. Okay? Now, there's another thing too here that happened. She said she wanted to fly in to see me for her birthday, and she did. And I was about to go to London, and she rented a hotel, and we spent the evening together. And I really just questioned her, because we had been seeing each other long enough, and I know that never in her natural born ass life had she ever had the duration and gap of whatever was happening with us, that she'd ever done that with any man she'd ever dated. So I knew that she was playing in my face, and I was really clear about her. The fog had started to lift. And I really hate that feeling, guys, because of my work. And I'll tell you this too, when you're with someone that's undermining you this way, and they're negging you and they're triangulating you, it's expensive. She was a karmic partner. So I lost more money in the year that I was with her. This is not because I was splashing out and doing dates and whatever. I did that. But I will tell you, she was gifted a buddy pass, so her flights were free-ish or whatever. I don't know how buddy passes work really, but So I wasn't like paying for her every flight or all of that stuff. She did have her own autonomy to a certain degree with some of those things. But it wasn't the logistics of just money spent on nice dates or an Airbnb. It was her energy was impoverished and unkind, and the world began to then be treating me that way. So I'm not used to that. And I knew it was her energy because I know what my life is like. I know when I'm in alignment, my life is blessed, man. People treat me at this point in the second half of my life very well. Or I might go up to battle with a demon or something, but it's an isolated thing. My day-to-day walking outside is not filled with strife and where am I going to get it from and whatever. And I was having like issues. The first time I ever lost a client, I lost a client that was a money maker, and it was when I was with her when she was being wildly manipulative the weekend that we were together. There's all these moments that I can pinpoint how my life was not getting better when I was around her. And my angel said, you have now fully stepped into your energy and you're taking on her karma. This is her energy. This is her karma. This is her dharma. She treats people shitty on purpose. It's a regular thing. And then she pretends to not know what she's doing. This is how people neg you. They know what they're doing. If you've ever had someone do this to you and you're like, well, maybe they didn't. No, they knew. She knew. And let me tell you how she knew. We talk about the psychological fail-safe that gets tripped. I said to her just outright, like, are we going to really progress this or not? And she was like, she essentially didn't say yes or no, but it was one of the closest answer I could get to was no. And so I was like, okay, thank you. I get it. And then I said, I was just kind of talking to her about our experiences and how magical they were, kind of like the therapist was. And she was like nonplussed. She was stiff arming me. She was like triggered. I don't know if she was triggered by me and that's why she was acting that way. I don't care. I just know that this is her behavior. I had to isolate the reasons as to her motivation so that I could be my own savior. No one's coming to save you, okay? And so in that moment, she made a comment that was very rude about all the things that had happened. Like, it just wasn't a big deal to her. She wasn't that impressed. She had also traveled previous to me, so it wasn't like I was the introduction to travel for her. She was very well traveled, all the rest of it. But traveling with someone who was a friend girl, someone you could roll an L with, someone you could chill on the beach with, someone whatever, she was just not into it. Not with me anyway, okay? Maybe the right person, the right guy would have, offered her a corn chip and she would have been far more appreciative. I guarantee it. I know it, and she's already told me about it, okay? So, she was it was just not happening. And I was like, okay, I get it now. But I also felt really played because that was not what she was saying with her words, or we wouldn't have been there almost a year into it. Yeah. So the next morning we're out to eat. We did that. And so I, was shut down because I was just like, realizing how she had been so emotionally manipulative and how she had gone on her way to be a dick to me. She was a sorority girl, and I really feel like I got the hazing sorority treatment. It's so funny, when I met her, I didn't think she was a sorority girl or that. Like, meaning she didn't come off snobby and mean and bitchy. Touche. She was all of those things. And in the most inappropriate way, too. Her experiences and her behavior should not have... The way she behaved did not match what she was. I don't think she understood it. But it doesn't matter. I watched her trip the failsafe of a man who's very powerful. And so that's what she did. And it's what she was doing to me. And my angels were like, do you see? Now do you see? So the next morning, I'm just quiet because I'm processing like what's happening. I'm not trying to punish her. I'm not trying to be a bitch to her or anything like that. But I'm quiet. Now, this tripped her psychological failsafe because her mother, who is not good at communicating. I don't care. You can love your mother. Loving people that are toxic is a complicated relationship when it's your parent. But she told me about her mother's silent treatment and the way that her mother would not communicate and withhold. So in that moment, she turns into a 6-year-old in front of me. She turns into a child, which was also a psychological manipulation too. But I think probably one of the more authentic ones because she was uncomfortable with me withholding and not being effusive and talkative. We were eating and everything. We ordered all the food. We did the things. I had to catch a flight, so we didn't really linger. But she was like uncomfortable, and she's now in the house with her mother, and she's a child, and she's done something she doesn't know what. Her mother was a Cancer, and so Cancerian energy unbalanced, they rule motherhood. So when they are unbalanced and they don't know how to communicate and they're not doing their soul work, it's a fucking nightmare, and it will give you a complex for sure, which Imagine she had two, but what did I just tell you guys? Stop overstanding people that are going out of their way to misunderstand you. So, even though I could have handily cleaned up a lot of what was happening in her life and got her so that she'd be quite successful, I was like, girl, you're evil to people. And you have all these sob stories about people being evil to you, but I watch you just run rampant through the streets and just be so attention seeking, so greedy, so a black hole of endless, like, it was a lot for me. But in that moment, she's 3, she's 5, she's 8, and her mother is serving her silent hate. That's how she perceived me. She taught me about the word projection because she put me in that role specifically. And I told her, because I was seeing it happen, I'm not here to do therapy with you. I'm not here for that. I'm here to date you. Did these men that were offering you a half of a corn chip and the razor edge of their dick, were they being so kind and considerate and understanding and overstanding? No. They had their agenda, of which you seem to be quite proud of. That's what you do. And you seem to know how to, with a man, untether the cord in your ear from your mother to you. It's so funny. Don't let people do you and let them think that they are insane and they don't understand what's happening. I was like, all the sucking and fucking you've done, you knew how to disconnect then. Yes? But just for us to have intimacy and discussions, everything is run by your mother? Who the fuck are you? And you're not grown. I don't give a damn how old you are. This is not how adults behave. People with complexes behave this way. People with mother issues and wounds behave this way. But I saw it that day. And she was like, is everything okay? She was very concerned. And all of a sudden, she was emotionally available. And my angel said, you have now picked the lock. Please set yourself free. Get away from this fae who is serving you nothing but the most insidious, dirty-ass energy. So I saw how she operated from the inside out, and I saw that for her, we could never have a moment of peace. We were never going to go anywhere in the world, and I wanted to take her all the places in the world because I felt like in the beginning she could be equally yoked with me. I don't also want you guys to underestimate that someone was there to be part of your destiny. She chose the path. It was choose your own adventure. You get to choose if you're going to show up and be fantastic, and you get to choose if you're going to go rogue and let all the entities be attached to you and just serve up whatever else. Now, ostensibly, guys, if someone's unattracted to you, then that's their moral imperative to just say that to you. But she wasn't doing that. It wasn't like she was saying, I'm not attracted to you. She was saying, I am. She was saying all the right things. I wouldn't have been there, guys. Y'all hear how I communicate. I would not have been there. But she was giving me nothing but hate, nothing but a tough time, and treating me terribly. You just have to be careful who you treat, because you don't know who is going to be observing to tell the story. And she got with somebody who happens to tell a great story, because I don't lie. I don't think she could even understand what that is, or whatever it may be, because she'll lie for the plot, she'll lie because it's free, she'll lie because she's bored, she'll lie because she's breathing. You know, it was a really strange situation that I found myself in, and that was my fault. And so I had to eat it, and I had to take accountability for it. But what I will always do when I'm in a situation that's untoward that way is disseminate it so that I can bring it to you guys, so that you can understand this is how people play. From the content triangulation to the repetitive insults about the way that I carried myself and what my insecurities were or weren't or whatever. She, you know, had moments of niceness too. And that's how they get you. Okay? But she was really trying to bring me down and be mean to me. And I felt very much like we were in sorority. It was very much a hazing to the deepest degree. But when I tripped her psychological failsafe that morning at brunch, I was able to be free. These people that do this are rampant with insecurities, and then you get pulled in the undertow of playing the game back and forth. And she was trying to socialize me into accepting the up and down roller coaster of her pulling away and coming back. And I was like, you're not that good at anything that you are doing except for this. You're great at being insidious and a mind fuck. You are great at that. She's great at that. But I didn't, as you should say, I didn't benefit from her energy in any other way. Even what she could offer to me that we had agreed upon, she was being weirdly withholding about that. And I was like, girl, you can't gaslight me into thinking I'm gross. I know how magical I am. I know what my energy is like. It doesn't mean that it didn't affect me in the moment when I was in her energy sphere, you know? But that's what was so disorienting about it, is that I was like, I know what I offer, not just fiscally. I know my energy is an up level, and she knew it too. And this is the biggest takeaway that I want you guys to know. People know what a blessing you are to them. She wanted me to stay proximal to her because she liked me liking her. She was feeding her giant, endless ego. And it wasn't that she liked me back. It was that she liked the attention that she received. She liked how things were a little bit more of ease. When I was around her, I'd make it easier for her if I could, but also I am a Earth Angel stimulus package just like you. And so she liked the benefit of being proximal to me. And she overlooked our natural chemistry and complicated it and sabotaged it. And she might have really hated me, but we did. The angels were really clear with me. They were like, no, you can't gaslight yourself. There was absolutely natural chemistry. She just never was going to balance her mental health to enjoy you with maturity. You know, I remember once saying to her, before I had set myself free, I'd like to take you to the Maldives because that's like a dream destination vacation for me. And I thought, this is perfect, you know. Her schedule was somewhat flexible, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought, this is great. I'm going to plan a trip for my birthday to the Maldives. And you know the first thing she said to me, and this is part of the manipulation and the negging too, and the triangulation that people like this will do. She was like, yeah, my mother loves the Maldives. Yeah, we'll take her too. Or you should take her. She didn't say you should take her. She said, you should take, I almost said her name. She said, you should take Miss whatever. Or she said, she said, we'll take her with us or two. She really likes the Maldives. She said kind of it wasn't something that she was into, but her mother really loved the Maldives. She was like, yeah, we'll go, but you know, something about her mother. Anyway, the point was, I said, you would never say that to a man. She was behaving like she didn't understand what dating etiquette was. She said she had a girlfriend. She was in a polyamorous relationship that she was kind of forced into. And then she was, unceremoniously expelled from it. But I understand why. Because even though she said the guy was a narcissist, maybe he was. Maybe that's where she learned these tactics. But he told her that she was a mental strain. If a narcissist, now I'm sure he was negging her too, but if a narcissist tells you you're a mental strain, boo, you might want to really get a therapist and examine what's happening with you. Because I felt the mental strain. The guy at the restaurant felt the mental strain. Whoever she had planned the date with while we were on a date felt the mental strain. I was like, this me. It was wild. But I said, never in your life, not only the ingratitude, but like the just, what's the word? It was uncouth, and also like the etiquette of it. Like if someone invites you on a dream vacation, you're just bringing your mother. It's not like we have been dating for 14 years and this is normal. I would happily go on a date with someone's mother, or like a vacation like that if I had put in the time and we really built it. She would never, ever do that to a guy. It was just never happening. Didn't mean that she didn't try, but it just would have never happened that a guy offers her something like that and she'd be like, yeah, you're my mom. Maybe she would, because the narc complained about her mom too. So I don't know if she realized, hey, you might have a problem here. But the issue was, it was just always something that I had to repair. And I was like, there is no peace here with you. I felt like she had good bones because she was fun and she was thoughtful and she was creative and, whatever. But really, she was just filled with misery, because that's what my life became. I was really sad when I was with her. I was really sad, and I was dealing with it by myself because I had some hating-ass friend that was like just jealous that I even had anybody else. And I was like, you think this is great? It's not great. I'm like windmilling for my life over here, because she was using tactics that people study off the interwebs from these guys that are tried and true. If someone is withholding and not cooperating with you, you're going to start to search yourself, because they've tripped your psychological failsafe, and you're going to try to figure out, what can I do? What can I amend? How can I give? How can I communicate? She deserved none of it. She was filled with hate, and Manipulation. If I were to be friends with her again, the cycle would just begin again. She didn't like me. She liked the power that I had and my energy. Being not even that she liked my energy, like, I like your energy. I like how your energy makes me feel. I like having a story to tell of somebody that's sweating me. I like being able to act like whatever. When she was pretending that she was being reciprocal with me, it took me a minute to figure out, like, there is no reciprocity. And the angels the angels are assholes, y'all, in a way. I don't think you understand, but they started flashing me truly, like, in dreams, in order to help me be free. They started flashing me how she was really with guys, and they were like, you're doing all of this for this person who is treating you like she despises you. And I know that because here's what happens when you get out of the fog with someone that's doing this to you. However they really felt about you, you will feel about them. And I despised her. And it was she always would tell me stories about people coming back to say sorry to her, and I'm like, it was so clear to me. It was like the window opened. I was like, I could see that all those people that had said sorry to her, it doesn't mean that they didn't do anything wrong to her genuinely. I wasn't in all those situations. But a lot of them, the angels showed to me, were saying sorry because she just had out-manipulated them with the Jedi mind nonsense, with the negging, with the triangulation. She was really super sneaky. And so people were thinking they owed her apologies when she was the orchestrator of diabolical betrayals and the rest of it. And the angels were like, you're too pure of a soul to be proximal to this bitch. She's evil. She's actually unhinged, and she's lived in the Matrix too long, and she's never coming up out of it. And spirituality is but a veneer for her. It's not even anything that's skin deep. She truly is just saying it because it's just whatever is to say and whatever sounds cool. What a lesson that I had with that. I was like, oh, you're a real sincere person, and we're super, like, she was saying it too. She was like, yeah, she did sweet things, y'all. And then she would undo every sweet thing with that stiff arm. That was who she really was. That stiff arm, dismissive energy was her baseline. She was, and that was, I won't go into the entity attachments per se, because I feel like I don't want to. It took a lot to get that away. So, like, let her and her entities, I won't point out which ones specifically I saw, but I saw them. And the thing is, with the negging, people that do that have those entity attachments, earth angels. So if you're like, how did I end up here? Don't beat yourself up. The angels were so clear about that. When I was saying they were being an asshole, they were like, for a nickel or a dime, things that she's done for dudes that didn't give a fuck about her, that don't know her last name, that don't know that she's got this mama issue, that don't understand anything about her. They show me how ratchet shit really was. And they were like, you're treating her like a queen. And we wanted her to have that experience because we wanted her to stretch and to evolve and to be kind to you. The meager offerings that she was like what we had agreed to in our little soul contract to give me, even that she was being miserly with. And they said, fuck out of here, sis. They were through with it because it was like, you're not even asking her full everything that men have demanded of her, and she happily gave for far less. They said, all you were wanting is intimacy and reciprocity to this degree, and all she brought you was stress and was acting like you were doing the most and it was out of order. And they were saying, you're on this timeline with her where, yeah, she may end up with someone else. That was always understood to me. I didn't think we were going to ride out our destiny together, but I thought we could have had a much better time. But they said, no, she decided to turn adversarial with you and fight you in her mind and with her connected, tethered to her mother, and she was on demon time with you. And we sent her in because we wanted her to have a karmic up-leveling, and all she did was accrue terrible karma with me. That's my story. Don't be silent about when people treat you shitty. She was shitty. She went out of her way to be shitty and then act like she was some ingenue and coquettish, like she didn't understand what she was doing. She was mean. And it was really mean. It was probably the meanest anybody's ever been to me. And I have had really mean people, guys. And I'm not saying it as a, Olympic flex of misery. But she, I guess there's a medal for her. She was the meanest. And I have had hell on earth with people. But what was mean is that I really pride myself on my spirituality. So someone coming in that wants to trick me, even if I see through it, the lengths that you'll go through to do it is something that I'm not just clocking. Your spirit team is. She has her own spirit team. They wanted better for her, but she didn't want better for herself, and she sealed her fate. I was the person that she should not have castigated the way that she did. She should not have given that to me, but someone who is filled with tricks like Blueface only has that energy. So you have to set yourself free of it and understand why you're on a loop with them of feeling like you should keep giving to elicit better treatment. It's never happening. That guy walking us out with a physical representation of what I had been through, he's overdoing it because she was so fucked up to him that he was trying to make it make sense in his brain. Why is this person treating me insane? Am I not who the fuck I think I am? And that's what someone that's negging is doing, is wanting you to call into question who you are. She committed a spiritual crime that she doesn't, or that she didn't realize, because when you do it with an earth angel, the angels and the demons even that they're working with raise the bar. You see, they're like, oh, this is how you wanted to treat someone that we dispatch into you. Very much Beauty and the Beast. You are the high priestess by the door. She treated me like I was some beggar, and I was a queen. And I'm not saying that because of the crown that does gleam. I'm saying that because I treated her that way from a spiritual perspective. Like, I was benevolent and kind. I was beyond generous and maybe even overgiving to her kind. She was like some level of hybrid of demonic entity that I was dealing with. And the angel said, this is something you have to get in check, sis, because she saw your kindness literally as a weakness. She thought you were some kind of dummy, and she didn't realize that while she was playing in your face, you were learning how to write essentially a spiritual prescription for anybody that comes after her, meaning you in the collective listening about how to navigate negging and triangulation. There are so many powerful lessons I learned because I had a blind spot. So I want you to give thanks with a grateful heart for people that treat you like they forgot their damn manners and their raising and treat you insidiously. Yes, thank them. Yes, Monette, thank them. Thank them. Because they make you stronger in reality. She provided me with vital pattern recognition that I needed in order to set myself free faster. Whenever I have people come to me with all that love bombing and then negging energy now, they get Hadoukened out of my energy. Get away from me. Hit them with the rat pack. Yeah! Like, I don't deal with it. But because this was my blind spot, and this is maybe another quick message, I had a blind spot when it came to romantic interest. And this had plagued me my entire life, where they could be in my energy and then start to not treat me right. I would not let a regular friend or whatever get that close to me to do it. Now, that doesn't mean that friends hadn't been grandfathered in and then gone rogue. That's happened too. But the way she did it could have never happened if I wasn't attracted to her. And that fucked with me. And that's something you might want to examine in yourself, because sometimes we'll give people access thinking they mean well and whatever. And because we had such a specific agreement, I thought, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm not even asking what all these guys asked for. I don't even really want it. Not to say I didn't want it if it was going to be a good vibe, but at the point, I kind of got turned off and thought, like, yeah, maybe it's best that that's not a thing we do. But I thought if she could, intimacy and whatever, of which we had to a certain degree, but she was monitoring, she was measuring, she was withholding. She was not naturally as it doesn't mean she wasn't affectionate with me, but what I'm saying is she met a stranger in a different country and was more effusive and affectionate immediately. And with me, she was hedging her bets and so cautious. And I was like, just say you're not attracted. And she's like, I'm not attracted. That's not what I'm saying at all. But in fact, that was she had a mitigated gall, and also that was part of what she thought was her allure, was the withdrawal. It's actually what makes people irritated, overwhelmed, and tired over bullshit. And I can't believe in her grown-ass, big-ass life she's gotten away with it as long as she has. But Here's another thing to note too, guys. Once you come up against people like this, they are not able to manipulate to the same degree. She'll always be manipulative, forever and ever, amen. That is her nature, down to her sign, down to her chart, all of it. But what I did is once we interfaced, people come up against you. She was the final boss of negging, projection, and triangulation for me. And so there's a certain spiritual work that we were assigned to do. The angel said she chose her own adventure. Since she wanted to be disrespectful like that with you, then we have made it so that it is people will see her more clearly, maybe even be mean to her in the same way that she was to the earth angel, because she had you, and all she had to do was be gently kind with you, because that's what we dispatched her in to do. It's a season in your life where you were supposed to receive this level of kindness or this specific kind of intimacy that we were slated to have, and she had zero integrity, and she was not trying to really do that, but she was, and they said this is where the issue was. It wasn't that she wasn't trying to do it. I'm so fair on that. I'm so about consent. That's a big deal for me. But the issue is that she was still wanting to siphon that good ass earth angel energy, and she still wanted to be affiliated, and she still wanted to have the incredible dinners but not include you in the picture, and still want to, maybe she really was genuinely embarrassed of me when she was actually embarrassing. Really and truly. And I watched it cringe, and my angels were like, this is why you thought you're going to be pimping all over the world with her and all around the world and having great times, but this woman would have embarrassed you, because she would have been flying in everybody's face. She was so much like my twin flame. I didn't realize it at the time, because I would not be dating someone that I thought was like my twin flame, but my angel slipped her in, because they said you had unfinished business with unrequited love in reality, with people that are treating you like shit in your face but benefiting from your energy, and I am grateful. So yes, give thanks to these evil hussies and thank them for what they did for you, because she cleared up a fog, and now no one can ever do what she did do. I am inoculated, because she could never tell the truth. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Don't let people trip that psychological failsafe, and if they do, understand they're doing it because they are insecure and maybe even intimidated by you, or they understand that you are out of their league to whatever degree, and they will try to pull you down. And I'm talking about spiritually, I was out of her league. I think that the one thing she had on me was more about a physicality thing, and so she was playing on any insecurities she could poke to find and to discuss and to gossip about, as is her way. And so people will do that. You could be a supermodel, and I have some that are my clients, and you will still have someone playing in your face. So it's not about your size or your this or that. People that are emotionally manipulative are going to see where your fail-safe is at, because they need you to be scrambling to continuously give. And she didn't deserve shit. She could have had everything. She actually could have had things that were outside of me. There were things that were slated for her to up level with, and the angels were like, the angels apologized to me, honestly. I've been repaid and recompensated in so many amazing ways. That happened a couple years ago, guys. But what I'm going to tell you is the angels apologized. That's how badly behaved she was, and how much off track she went, and how drunk she got on my power and my energy. The angels were like, sorry sis, we thought we were doing a good thing sending you this fairy, but free will exists, and she wanted to treat you like shit and have a gallery laughing about it, and we will in kind repay her with that experience in ways that she can't even fathom yet, because we're not even done cooking you. You never know who you're gonna run into. Treat people well. Treat the beggar and the homeless person good. Even if you don't have a nickel to drop into their cup, tell them something that's sweet, because you never know who they might eventually be. So good sharing energy with you. Come back and join me next time, guys. We'll continue to evolve together.